I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that then. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. Oh no, your station not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs. You know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark. No LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers. Go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page and check out the blog section as well. We do have a special going on over there right now. If you use promo code ManHour at checkout on merchandise, you save a little bit of dollar bills. And that is what we're all about, is saving a little bit of dollar bills, y'all. But tonight, guys, we are going to do things a little bit different. We are going to trim the show down by an hour tonight because I actually have a flight to catch for work here in about 2.5 hours. So we are going to do an hour show, and we're going to welcome the man, the myth, my right-hand man as of late, Tori Anderson, at manhour_Tori. Welcome to the show, Tori. How was your day, man?
I had a really, really good day. You know, serving the great people of the great state of Wisconsin, helping some veterans out, get some things going. It's been a good day.
Well, did you get stand up on your date this afternoon, or
no? We were going to go last night.
So you canceled, right? So you canceled.
No, today we couldn't do it because he was heading back today.
Right. So Tori didn't have a date. Him and Combs were meeting up for lunch, and life got in the way. Work got in the way. Basically, Combs got caught up on TikTok for 3 hours, and the next thing he knows, it's dark outside. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hands anymore. So he's like, hey, man, I was in a meeting all day. Wink, wink. A.K.A. playing on TikTok here. But Tori, you said you were helping veterans. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you do for a living?
So I do work for the government. So part of my job that I do, I help veterans, I help transitioning service members, I help military spouses, I help connect them to the resources, I help connect them to jobs, I help connect, for resumes, they come to me. I have somehow become the world's foremost expert on resumes, so...
That's all we need, man. We need some more resume experts in the world. Right.
I've done them from here all the way over to Japan, so when I say I've done resumes around the globe, I'm really not lying. So that's just part of my job.
So in general, if we had somebody, an old veteran, Army veteran, Navy veteran, and they're looking for a job, they could, in theory, call you and you could put them in the right position in this great state of Wisconsin?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So if you guys are listening to us and you are a veteran, just got out of the Army, just retired, or doing whatever, and you're looking for, that extra, income or whatever, hit up Tori, man. You can find him on manhour_Tori, and he will put you in the right direction. So always a good time to help veterans, because I have a lot of friends that are the veterans, they serve their 5 or 6 years, and then they're lost in the world for the next 3 or 4 years. They don't know which direction they want to go. They all try school out for 6 months. Oh, I forgot why I dropped out of high school, right, to join the Army. And then so they're working at Walmart pushing carts, and that's a big that is a big change from going from the man in the Army to pushing carts. So definitely
and that's
a big life adjustment.
It's the biggest thing that we talk about when we talk to people about going through your transition and stuff like that. Transition doesn't end just when you get out of the military. It's a constant moving thing. So it's trying to find that niche, just trying to find out where you want to go in life. And there again, that's part of my job is, there's a lot of jobs that your military job will translate into civilian life. So my job is to point them in those directions if that's what they want to continue to do.
All right, so Tori Anderson is the man to hook up if you are a veteran and looking for that job and job placement, resume, etc. But we do have some people jumping in here. Joseph, do you want us to call you Joey or Joseph? We need to know. I know Wyatt was calling you Joey, but your name says Joseph here. He was the first one in the chat tonight, Tori, so he had to drop the old I'm first and kind of gloat on everybody. And then he was dabbing on us. This is what the elbow cough. So apparently if you cough into your elbow, that's dabbing on people. He dabbed on all three of us. Dab, dab, dab. And then we got Miss Nana coming in. Well, she says, hello, family. Hello, Miss Nana as well. Hope you're having a great night. And, of course, Drew is in here as well, as always, joining us. So, Tori, let's go ahead and jump into some sports talk here because we do have a shortened show here tonight. We have about 55 minutes left to fill here. So, some big news happened in Major League Baseball. Tell us a little bit about it. What happened in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, technically I would call it the fourth no-hitter of the year already, but it's by official rules because Bumgarner got screwed. We had our third no-hitter already of this season. We're just over a month into this season, and we've already had 3 no-nos.
Yeah.
So John Means from the Baltimore Orioles tossed a no-no this afternoon. First individual pitcher to throw one since August 13th, 1969, when Jim Palmer threw one. They did throw one in 1991 as well, but it was a 4-pitcher effort. But then I was thinking back that this is the first one since 69, and then the other part of it says that's their 10th no-hitter in history. So that means they had, 7 no-hitters before Jim Palmer's. And so then they had Jim Palmer's was the 8th. They had the one in 91. That was the 9th with 4 pitchers. Now this one.
Yeah, so people that don't know what a no-hitter is, or a no-no is a complete game with a no-hitter. It is not a perfect game because John Means threw a wild pitch, so therefore a player got on base. Granted, he didn't score because or it classified as a hit because then it would not be a perfect or a complete no-hitter game. So a perfect game would be nobody on base, no errors, no etc. But with that being said, I mean, he did pitch a no-hitter. And Joey comes on and says, where's Wyatt tonight? He is supposed to be with you at church there, Joey. So you tell us where Wyatt is.
Did Wyatt skip out? Is he not getting his Jesus on tonight?
No,
Jesus is watching Wyatt.
Or is Joey skipping out? Jesus on.
Joey, Jesus is watching.
We don't need your mom calling us up here on the show and having us to wave the finger at you. But no, on Wednesday nights, Wyatt misses the first hour because he does go to church and they play basketball for like an hour and a half. Like that's all they do. They play basketball and they do like a little Bible study, and then he comes and gloats about how great he was shooting basketball against 12-year-olds. So yeah. So
I had 17 blocks, 24 rebounds, and 38 points. Man, that kid that was like 4 foot, I blocked him like 7 times.
Yeah. So John Means throws a complete game no-hitter, which is classified as a no-no. But we are going to talk some NFC South, Tori. We have broken down the NFC East. We've broken down your NFC North. Now we're going to break down the Super Bowl winning the NFC South. So we are going to give those grades for draft picks right after the break here. And guys, be active in the chat because we do have Shot Talk coming off at the end of tonight. So at 8:45, he will be talking some shot talk. And Joey says, man, he's playing against the Air Force commit right now. And Tori, we've had that Air Force commit on the show. That is Jake Highbreeder. So he is a very well-rounded person there. So maybe Jake Highbreeder will be talking to you in about 3 or 4 years, Tori, to get some job placement.
Hey, if he wants to come work and live in the great state of Wisconsin, I'll inform him of every veteran benefit that he is allowed here.
What is so great about Wisconsin?
So for the veteran community,
Tori, we don't really care about Wisconsin because we live in Indiana. So we'll be right back here on the Man Hour, guys. Like that, Tori? Sorry, Tori. I'm sorry. I don't apologize. Sorry, I'm not sorry. We'll be right back, guys, on the Man Hour. NFC South breakdown coming up right after this. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeye along with Tori Anderson tonight. You're going to miss any part of the show whatsoever. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and, of course, iHeartRadio. Or if you're into the YouTube game like most of us are, youtube.com/Man Hour, you can hit that subscribe button. We upload the clips each and every day. So if you just want to catch a certain part of the segment, like saying, hey, I only want to know about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tori, well, I will upload strictly just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers clip sometime on YouTube between today and tomorrow, because we are a little backed up on uploads because the Alley interview was so great that we had to upload that for 3 or 4 times. So we broke that down. So we are going to break down the NFC South right now, Tori, and we are going to start with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons finished 4-12 last season. They started the season on 5 straight losses, and then they ended the season with 5 straight losses. So in the middle, Tori, the Falcons were 4-2 on the season. So in that 6-game middle stretch there, they were a winning team, but then after that, they were 0-10. So
well, if you watch them at the beginning of the season, it was literally the Super Bowl hangover. Like every game seemed like they would invent ways to lose games. Like, man, how do you lose this one? You're up by 13 with 2 minutes left, and they lose by 1. You know,
yeah. Me and Cole sat here.
Oh, we're gonna win this game,
hour,
and they would miss the extra point.
Or that onside kick versus the Cowboys, right? That was absolutely a dumpster fire. But me and Colm sat here on the Man Hour, and we did the stats just for the first 3 quarters of the Atlanta Falcons' first six games. They were outperforming every team in the NFL. And then that last quarter, they were dead last in every statistical category, which was absolutely a dumpster fire. So they had to have a great draft. Like, let's just be flat out honest. If they didn't have a great draft, they would have probably have cleaned house. So, Tori, they had the fourth overall pick, and they kept that 4th overall pick. Many people were speculating they were going to trade out of that, trade Julio Jones. You know, there was a lot of speculation, but I want to ask you this question first. Who was the best draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons this year?
The obvious pick would be Kyle Pitts, but I don't like to do the obvious pick if I don't have to. I like to try to dig a little bit deeper into their drafts and kind of look at who they grabbed. And the thing is they grabbed great. It seems like every pick outside of Kyle Pitts, because we kind of figured Pitts would fall to him. They grabbed value at every single turn. But for me, it's Drew Dahlman, the offensive lineman from Stanford. You know, he's an NFL ready center. He's going to probably be one of the better centers in the league. You know, it's a 4th round pick. You don't usually grab immediate starters in the 4th round, and this guy will probably come in and be a day 1 starter for them. So for that pick, for him to fall to them in the 4th round and get a guy that's probably going to be a Pro Bowl, you know, caliber type, amazing. To me, that's probably the best pick that they had outside of Kyle Pitts in this entire draft.
Yeah, and just to add to your point there, 2 picks before that, their 3rd overall, or their third round pick, 68th overall, they did draft another offensive lineman. I believe he's playing left guard, but Jalen Mayfield was also a great pickup as well. I almost want to call that a steal, just because I thought Jalen Mayfield was going to go in the mid-2nd round, but to fall down to early 3rd round to the Falcons, I mean that is huge for them, 100%. Good. And
there again, for him, it's going to come down to coaching. The biggest knock on him is his handwork and his footwork are a little clunky. It's not real smooth. He tends to get up a little bit too high, so he can be pushed a little bit. So, you know, with him, I can see that. But there again, the frame is there and the body of work is there. It's a matter for him cleaning up the techniques.
Do you think that is most of the line coming out of college, just because they've been so much bigger than everybody else for like so long that their technique just needs to be tweaked a tad bit? So these OTAs and like mini camps are huge for these of linemen, so they're ready to start week 1.
I think it's honestly, you know, it comes right down to your coaching, no matter what. I mean, look at the Alabama Crimson Tide. Like 4 of their 5 offensive linemen got drafted.
Right.
You know, the Wisconsin Badgers consistently turn out offensive linemen. You got schools like Michigan, it turns out, you know, Penn State. Obviously, like a lot of the Big Ten schools turn out Iowa offensive linemen because they're almost all road graders, you know. So even if you can only run block, they can teach you to pass block.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, passing blocking is the more technical sound thing, and like run blocking, you just run straight forward and mow over fools, right? And just look for the next guy up. So on the flip side of the coin, where there's always a good pick, there's always a bad pick. So who was the worst pick for the Atlanta?
There again, looking at their draft, it's really hard. It's like I said, they got good value almost up and down. I'm going to go with the cornerback from Boise State, Avery Williams. He's only 5'9". I don't think they're going to look at him too much to actually play cornerback because he is very, very raw. He's only played the position for a few years. And he's kind of one of those project guys. But his bread and butter and what he's going to do to make the team is going to be as a return specialist. That's going to be the key to success early on for him in the NFL. If he can develop, his technique as a corner, yeah, he could probably be a pretty decent corner. But right now, when you're a 5th round pick, usually a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick, nothing's guaranteed except your signing bonus.
Right.
You're not guaranteed to even make that team. So, if he can do that and he can be dynamic, he's got a chance to make a really good name for himself. But I'm not a big fan of the pick just based off of his height alone. To me, he's a 5th round, one trick pony, kickoff and punt returner at this point. That's still pretty high to draft a guy to be that specialized.
Yeah. So the one pick that kind of had me scratch my head was the Arizona State receiver, Frank Darby. They drafted him in 6th round, 183th overall. He only had 31 catches or 1,616 yards in both seasons that he played at Arizona State. Isn't that where old ESPN analyst went to?
Herm Edwards.
Yeah, Herm Edwards. So
Herm's there. I will tell you the reason. I'll give you the top 3 reasons why they picked him.
Okay.
Speed. The guy's got speed for days.
So,
he is fast.
I mean, but only 31 catches. I mean, like, you can have all the speed in the world, but clearly you aren't even the number one option on your team having 31 catches. I mean, that's like, I would say college, that is being number one target for about 2.5 games. Because in college, your number one target is getting 12, 13 catches a game. When he has 31 catches all season, and that is a career high, like, I mean, clearly he is simply just a specialist type of player. Run those bubble screens, maybe run a few slant routes. So that to me was kind of a big head scratcher because they already have Julio Jones and they have Calvin Ridley as well. And I think they drafted a receiver last year, Russell Gage, if I'm not mistaken.
Gage.
He was their 4th receiver this year, I think. So, I mean, are they preparing for Julio Jones to be out? Maybe that's why they reached for this guy in the 6th round.
First off, you're not replacing Julio Jones with the 6th round pick. But the thing is the thing is the kid's got a great athleticism. He's a good route runner, and the kid's got speed for days. The only question I would think then maybe his hands aren't great. And the one thing that we've seen in the NFL that you can do these days is you can actually teach somebody how to catch the ball.
Ask the Eagles that.
Well,
did
for the most
they
part,
catch a lot of people to catch.
Unless your name's Darius Haywood Bay, and then you were just just drop everything.
So, are we seeing the NFL transition to? I don't care if you're 6'5", 6'6", like anymore at the receiver route. We want a fast guy that can move well in the open field, and we'll teach him to do the rest.
It depends on your system. So some teams prefer a bigger bodied receiver that is going to be more the possession type. Some teams prefer the speed. The Raiders, even with Al Davis gone, it's still like, give us speed for days. Right. Somebody that can run 80 yards down the field, and I'll just chuck it up and hope he comes down with it.
Was there any big body receivers that were drafted? Because I can't think of anything. Like, I think the biggest receiver was Rondell Moore. He was like 6'1", 6'2", $180. I mean, but he's fast and he's big and strong, but there were none of those Julio Jones and none of those Calvin Johnson type.
The closest I would think would potentially maybe even be Amari Rodgers that went to Green Bay, but I'm trying to see because he's built like a running back. He's 5'10" and 210 pounds, so he's built a little bit bigger. He's basically built like a running back.
So what you're saying is the Kansas City Chiefs have basically transcended the wide receiver position to, hey, we want you to be 6 foot and under, but fast as crap now, right? I mean, because like they have speed on every spot of the Kansas City Chiefs field. And
well, you got to give the Raiders credit. You got to give Raiders credit to that one because they've always been, let's just draft somebody that can run. I don't care what size he is. Does he run a 4.3 40? Yep. Let's just draft him.
Well, what the Raiders drafted, was like 3 receivers in the first three rounds last year simply because they were fast. They drafted that wide receiver, quarterback, running back, tailback guy from Kentucky, Lynn,
and then traded him.
Yeah, so I was like, I think you drafted him in like the second round or something. But the Raiders draft last season was absolutely horrible. We'll get to the Raiders draft here next week. But let's start talking about the Falcons again here. You gave me your worst pick and your best pick in the NFL draft. What is your overall grade for the Falcons this year?
My overall grade for them this one is a B+. They're just still, it's like I said, they got a lot of really good talent. They got a lot of really good value. Kyle Pitts is probably potentially a Hall of Famer. And later on, like 2 years from now, if we do like everybody else and like, let's regrade our draft from this year, it could be way higher, but I give them a B+ because they did do a really good job of finding value at absolutely every spot that they drafted in.
Yeah, and the Falcons pretty much had to find value at every spot because they are going up to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they literally signed everybody back to their roster, and they even added depth to positions. So we'll get to their draft next here. But coming up here on the next draft order that we're going to do is the Carolina Panthers. They Christian McCaffrey most of the season last year. I think he only played 3 or 4 games total. Then they trade away their starting quarterback from last year, Teddy Bridgewater, to the Denver Broncos. But also did get Sam Darnold in the off season. The Carolina Panthers they finished 5-11 last season. So the draft needed to be just as good as the Falcons. So who was their best draft pick?
So I'm going to go with their 5th round pick, Davion Nixon out of Iowa. This is a kid that was predicted to be early 2nd round pick. And again, he was one of the names that's just kind of watching him fall. I get to watch Iowa play every single year. And this kid plays his heart out on every play. Iowa is kind of known for producing really good defensive linemen. This kid is a huge value pick for them. He's ready to go as an interior pass rusher. He's agile. He's got good explosion. He's got good length. He's not very good against the run. But he should, with Derek Brown on that defensive line starting next to him, that should even itself out a little bit. But the guy has got an explosive first move to get after the quarterback. So I really like that pick.
Yeah, and my pick here is I'm going to go offensive line. Anytime you can add depth to your offensive line, especially in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and get a player like Brady Christian from BYU, that is a great pick in my opinion. Because Wyatt had him going in the 2nd round, early 2nd round. So for him to fall to late 3rd round was a big surprise for me. I mean, he is 6'6", 300 pounds, so he is a big body, and he is going to protect Sam Darnold a lot. And Sam Darnold has never had protection, so Sam Darnold might become an MVP quarterback simply from this pick right here. So on the flip side,
if you look at their 4th round pick, Chuba Hubbard too, to back up CMC. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, before the football season started last year, was widely considered probably the 2nd or 3rd best back in the country. I don't think he did much to disprove that he wasn't one of the best backs in the country. He had the little tiff there with the coach, but and said he'd sit out. But and I think if anything, that may have been what hurt him. But he's another really good pick for them. They went after value at almost all positions too, except for their worst pick.
Who is their worst pick in your eyes?
So for me is their 3rd round pick, Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble, the tight end out of Notre Dame. You picked a guy that's basically just essentially he's a blocking tight end. You used a 3rd-round pick on a guy that is a blocking tight end specialist. Like, his specialty is blocking. He's not that great of a receiver. He does flash a little bit. He's not going to be a burner. He's going to be the quick 3 steps in or 3 steps in out, underneath. He's going to be the 4th option underneath guy if he even gets that far. I just think that they took him way too high. And for a guy that hasn't been known for his receiving, I can't really justify using a 3rd-round pick on a guy like that.
Yeah, and before I give you my thoughts here, we need to give out shout out to Joe's mama. Joe's mama is here in the chat. See, Joe, we told you should have gone to church. See, now your mama's in here checking in on you here. But you're actually giving a player. I am looking at the rest of their draft. Yes, they added depth where they already had talent, but they did not address the biggest need the Carolina Panthers did not. They lost a great linebacker, and their linebacking core was thin and suspect at best most of the season, and they did not address that need at all. So every other pick that they had, the tight end, they really didn't need Chubba Hubbard. Yes, he is a great pickup, but they already had CMC, and then the guy that played all last year for CMC, I don't know.
Yeah, Mike Davis is gone though. Mike Davis signed with Atlanta.
Right, but I mean, so.
But I agree. Yeah, they did nothing to address their linebacker. They addressed their secondary, right, but they did nothing to address their. So they drafted corners, they drafted defensive linemen, but neglected their linebacking core. So I don't know. They might have guys that they're comfortable with. So
yeah, well,
they might be they might be Brian Gutekunst here and go, I think we're good.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the worst pick on the Carolina Panthers was their 6th-round pick, number 222nd overall, Thomas Fletcher, a long snapper. Why are you spending a draft pick on a long snapper when you need linebacker help? I'm just going to leave that right there. Why?
I was kind of torn between him and Tremble because I'm looking again. Because yesterday I can't dock everybody that drafts a long snapper.
Yeah, you can.
I did it yesterday. Still a 6th-round pick. But there again, like we talked about yesterday, generally those guys are undrafted. You can usually pick them up off of the street.
Well, so Wyatt is good friends with a long snapper that is going to college, like at a high school, and I am real good friends with him. Like I coached him through high school as a long snapper. But yes, long snapper is a talented position. You have to snap the ball 16 yards or whatever it is. It has to be on the dime every time, and if you mess up one time, you are going to be ridiculed about it for the whole week because you don't get on the field that much. But 9 times out of 10, Tori, do you know who long snappers are? They're the 4th and 5th string Mike linebackers. They're thick body individuals that can run well. So I don't see why a NFL team couldn't put a backup linebacker in as a long snapper and teach them how to snap. Like if you're so good at your job, you should be able to coach anybody, any position, no matter the skill set. But I'm going to digress on that because I don't want to get too worked up tonight. So, what is the Panthers' overall grade?
Overall, I give them a C+. They're again, nothing great, nothing too terrible. Like J.C. Horn was a great pick. They got good value with Terrence Marshall in the 2nd round. They got good value with Christensen. I'm not a fan of the Tremble pick. Good value with the Chubba pick. Yeah. But then after that, all the way down to their 7th round, outside of Davion Nixon, it's like I'm not super impressed. I get what they're trying to do. I just don't know if it's going to work. So, and they addressed everything but their linebacker need. So, if you do that, their grade would be a little bit higher if they would have addressed their linebacker need, even if it was a later round pick.
Yeah, and you say you see what they're trying to do. I don't see what they're trying to do at all. They're trying to add depth to positions that they already have skilled players in there. Starters for going into 2021 season, and they did not address the obvious need in the linebacking spot. So with that being said, you gave them a C+. I mean, I got to be critical. I got to be hard. This is a D. Like this is one of the worst drafts in the NFL. I mean, they get a D because first of all, I don't. J.C. Horn, when like we were doing the live the live show here, you and Wyatt were both kind of shocked. You're like, really, J.C. Horn that high? Because I believe you guys had him going down in the mid first round, right? Early second round. So
no, I actually kind of thought he would end up in Denver, which would have been the very next pick.
Yeah, but still not. I don't know, but I got to give them a D. You can call it what you want, but it wasn't a very good pick or a very good draft in my eyes. So moving on to the next NFC South team, we had the 12-4 New Orleans Saints. They made it to the playoffs last year. They beat the Chicago Bears, and then they kind of just stumbled and stubbed their toe. Typical Drew Brees fashion, right? You can win one game, but you can't win the next one in the playoffs. So Drew Brees has officially retired. Michael Thomas is, who knows what he is. He's starting to sound a lot like Antonio Brown. Alvin Kamara is not a big fan of the 17-game season. So the Saints kind of seem in disarray, but they did sign Taysom Hill to $140 million per year deal, which is a lot of fluff, but it is mainly a lot of incentive-based pay.
It's basically 1 year contract at a time.
Yeah, and I think he's only guaranteed like $1 million or $2 million, but there's a lot of fluff on there. And then they do have a top 10 quarterback in Combs' eyes as Winston there.
Oh my word!
So with that being said, I mean the team is still pretty good. Minus Drew Brees, they're still a pretty good team. So they needed just to add depth to their team, I think, in the draft. So Tori, who is the best draft pickup that they had this year?
I'm going to go with Pete Werner in the second round, the linebacker out of Ohio State. They need linebacker help there. Their defense used to be their sore spot. It's actually been pretty good the last couple of years. This guy's he's a bigger bodied linebacker. He does move side to side real well. He's very fluid. He can do coverage, and he can cover like a safety. So that is huge in today's NFL. But then he can come up and hit you in the jaw like Ray Nitschke could. So this kid kind of has it all. He tested really well at the combine as well. This kid has the potential to be a Pro Bowl linebacker in about 2 or 3 years, I think.
So yeah, that's kind of a bold statement here, but I have to go with their first 4 overall picks. Their defense was kind of their weak point this season. They gave up a lot of points toward the end of the season. And Peyton Turner, their first round 28th overall pick, the defensive end out of Houston. We sat here and we were kind of shocked. We're like, really? This guy? But I went back and watched his tape prepping for the show today, and he is a beast out there. Tori, this Peyton Turner guy is going to be a great NFL player. He is going to be a lot of J.J. Watt. Like they are going to, like his numbers will not reflect of how good he is because they're going to run the other way to try to avoid this guy. I fully anticipate him being a disruptive, basically shutting down half of the field. He's you are not going to run this side because I am a man among men back here. So I'm going to go with Peyton Turner, the 28th overall pick from the Houston Cougars. So who was your worst pick for the Saints?
So my worst pick for them is pretty much the rest of their draft. I do not like the Peyton Turner pick. They drafted a guy almost the same type as Peyton Turner a couple years ago, Marcus Davenport, and he hasn't really done anything at all. Ian Book, they took in the 4th round. That's a terrible pick. I mean, unless is he like your insurance policy to the Taysom Hill insurance policy? So what are you doing there? Wasn't a big fan of the Landon Young pick. There again, they didn't have a ton of picks in this draft either. They only had, they did have a 5th round pick, but they only had 1 pick in each round as well. And Quan Baker, I don't know much about, but they're pretty set at receiver in New Orleans. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. Looking at your draft, you were all over the place. Outside of Pete Werner, because that pick made a ton of sense. I don't know what you're doing because Peyton Turner wasn't going to go in the 1st round. Peyton Turner was on nobody's radar for the 1st round. And you took it with the 28th pick. I think I literally said it on the draft show. I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah.
So maybe you've seen something on the tape. I'm not. I look at it like you played at Houston. Your competition level wasn't that great. Like you said, like JJ played the Big Ten though.
Right.
JJ played NFLers every week.
Right. So I'm going to use the same argument as I did with Trey Lance. I mean, yes, Trey Lance is an NFL ready player playing a division what FCS now, right? Which is basically a Division two. But he was also playing against other Division two athletes. So like it wasn't like North Dakota State was riddled with NFL stars, and then they're playing against a Division two team. He had a Division two receiver, a Division two line playing against other Division two guys. But I'm going to descend of what I just said because he is a Division I athlete playing against not very good Division I athletes. So on the defense,
and most
side,
Division I athletes that don't make it Division I. What school do they usually go to at D2?
North Dakota State.
They usually go to North Dakota State. So
you are
essentially, North Dakota State has D1 players playing at D2 level.
Right. So fun fact. Kansas State just picked up North Dakota State's coach a couple years ago, and he pretty much brought their whole team down. So fun fact there. But the worst pick for the Saints is definitely Ian Book, man. Just because, first of all, yes, I know Ian Book went to Notre Dame. He led them to the playoffs. He was like 30-5 as a starter, but he's like 5'10". He's like 5'10", 160 pounds, like just ridiculously. He is a Drew Brees-esque quarterback, but you did not need to draft a quarterback. You drafted Colt McCoy, basically. He is an habitual.
No, Colt McCoy could throw the ball.
But I am talking about just being a habitual backup. He will never be a starter in the NFL. He will be a backup his whole NFL career. He will be floating from team to team. Who is the backup quarterback that just signed? That's been on every team and been around forever. He went to Alabama. I think he was number 10. I'm gonna have to look that up now. I'm pretty sure
it's not Hoyer.
No, it's I'm looking it up right now. They don't have it on there, but it is a quarterback that is just you're like wow.
An Alabama quarterback, AJ McCarron.
Yeah, AJ McCarron. Yep. So he just signed with somebody. I can't remember who it was, but Ian Book is just going to be just like him. So it was definitely not a very good pick by the Saints at all. So Tori, give me their grade.
I give them a D. Their draft wasn't very good. The only thing that kept it from an F is Pete Werner. I really like the Pete Werner pick for them. Again, it was a position of need. It was a position that just got majorly upgraded by a super hyper athletic linebacker.
Yeah. Anytime you can add a athletic line to your team, a linebacker that can side with some speed and with some head, some football IQ there, that is going to instantly bump your grade draft up one full grade. I had them as an F because it was absolutely horrible, but I'd give them a D- because of everything that you said about that line backer here. So two teams in the NFC South both get a D ranking from me, and which is kind of my mind-boggling here because they are playing catch-up to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champ. They were 11-5 in the regular season, but Tori, they signed all 22 starters back. Antonio Brown is back. Julian Edelman is reportedly coming down to Tampa Bay as well. So the rich are getting richer here. So they still had some draft picks. So with that being said, who was their best overall draft pick this year?
Pretty tough to pick out a best one when all you're doing is picking backups.
Yeah.
I'll go with Robert Haney though out of Notre Dame. He's very versatile. He can play almost any spot on the line. He's got really great hand technique. He's good in the short area, good short burst quickness on him. He does get caught flat-footed and can get rocked back. As soon as the lineman does that, like they're pretty easy to knock off balance. He does got to work on that as well, but there again, it's tough to say because it was all literally backups that you drafted. Not one person is going to be expected to come in and set the world on fire for them.
Yeah, the only place where I can see where they might expect somebody to step in, like, do play consecutive minutes, is that offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Robert Hainsley, that they drafted in the 3rd round, because I believe they are fairly thin on the offensive line. Jensen had some back surgery this offseason, if I'm not mistaken. Their center, the long gingered hair looking kid. But the best pick that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have is their quarterback. They drafted Kyle Trask 2nd round, 64th overall. I've been kind of high on Kyle Trask all through the college season. Yes, he had a horrible bowl game. People are banking on that horrible bowl game, the horrible pro day. But go back and watch the film. Kyle Trask, I believe he beat the SEC all touchdown record in a season.
I could do that throwing to Kyle Pitts.
But still, there were other people throwing through Kyle Pitts too, because this is Kyle Trask's first year as a starter. Kyle Pitts started last year and didn't have these kind of.
But what was Trask's completion percentage this year?
It was under 70, if I'm not mistaken. Like his completion percentage wasn't good, but either was Patrick Mahomes when he was in college either. You gotta do what you gotta do. But Kyle Trask has an opportunity to sit behind Tom Brady for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Byron Leftwich is really starting to explode as a great offensive coordinator, as a great offensive mind. And Byron Leftwich is learning from Tom Brady too. So when you get an opportunity to sit behind a great quarterback, i.e., your boy Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 3 or 4 years. He came in the league and he lit the world on fire. I can see Kyle Trask doing the same thing. This is a great draft pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because, for one, they needed a backup, and 2, this guy is going to do great things. So on the flip side of that, Tori, who was their worst pick?
So I'm going to go right back to Kyle Trask because I think Kyle Trask was their worst pick. So I am not a Kyle Trask fan. I have not hid that at all. I think he's too inaccurate. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I think the talent on the Florida Gator team made him look way better than he is. I do not see his game translating to the NFL. He's got average arm strength. He's got average athleticism. Nothing jumps off the board at him, and he's not accurate. So therefore, in the NFL, I think he's going to throw a lot of interceptions when he does get to play. So I am not a fan of that pick. If they would have been a 3rd round pick, I'd have been like, okay.
Okay.
Granted, they took him with the last pick in the 2nd round, but
right. So who else threw a lot of interceptions at Tampa Bay?
Trent Dilfer?
Winston.
Winston
threw 30 interceptions, but he also threw 35 touchdowns. He also threw over 5,000 yards that particular season as well.
How many games did they win in the playoffs?
0. But with that being said, that same exact Winston, that same exact guy that threw those 30 interceptions and 35 touchdowns, Brandon B.C. Combs says he is a top 10 quarterback in all of NFL. So
it's because Brandon's a Bears fan and has brain damage.
What you got to do, you got to think like Combs here. You got to put your hand over the interception numbers and look at the 35 touchdowns and look at the 5,000 yards that he threw for. Kyle Trask is going to be just fine. So my worst pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the wide receiver from North Texans. I don't know who he is. I haven't watched any film on him. He is 5'9", 160 pounds. The couple highlights tapes that I saw of him, I was not impressed. And if you are not impressed from a highlight tape, you did something wrong. So this 4th round pick, 129th overall as a receiver, I felt like was kind of a stretch because they are. I think that's probably the deepest spot that they're at because they got they got Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, Scotty, what's his last name?
Scotty doesn't know Miller.
Yeah, Scotty Miller. Julian Edelman is reportedly coming down to Tampa. So to draft a receiver, I think you just drafted him to get cut, to be honest. Maybe he ends up on the practice squad. I don't know, but that was kind of a reach because you can only, roster 52 guys, and you already have 6 receivers. Like, are you going to cut Antonio Brown? Are you going to cut Mike Evans? So of those 5 receivers that I named, who are you going to cut? The rookie, right?
Antonio Brown.
No, you're not. You are not going to cut Antonio Brown. Tom Brady will have a heyday with that. So,
well, the thing is, though, is he is a gadget type player, though. So not that Arians runs a ton of gadget plays, but mostly because Brady's calling the offensive plays. So
yeah, right. So, what grade do you give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft?
I give them a C. Nothing great, nothing, nothing terrible. Like, they drafted backups. They drafted for potential need. They drafted for the future. I mean, it's an amazing position to be in when you don't have to reach or fill a need wherever you think you got to go. So they could draft best player available at that point. And that's kind of what they did.
Yeah, and
except for Trask.
Oh, come on, man. So with that being said, since they drafted the best available player more or less on the board, I got to kind of give them a B+ because you can't go wrong when you're drafting the best available player on the board. It's just you are adding depth to your position. You're getting your team better for next year. Like let's say, who is that linebacker that locked down, or that cornerback that locked down Tyreek Hill all Super Bowl long? Let's say he gets a sprained ankle week 3. BYU quarterback Chris Wilcox, 7th rounder, can step up for a few games, and they're probably not going to miss a beat. So,
well, but there again, when you have that much talent on a team like that, it's easy to cover up one person. Right. You just start moving to zone coverage and hide him as much as you can. So
with that being said, Wyatt Williams-Drink, they get a B+ in my book there, Tori. I mean, they did a great job. So we are going to take a quick little break, guys. On the other side of the break, we got Shop Talk here. We're going to wrap up the last 10 minutes of the show here. If you guys have not heard, we are cutting the show short tonight because I got to make it to work. I am flying out, doing some working all night, working all day, then be back here for the show tomorrow. So we're going to wrap it up so I can get packed and get on the road. So, Tori, we got some Shop Talk coming up here on the other side of the break. So bring up something that you want to talk about, or if you're in the chat, let us know as well. We're back, guys, here on the Man Hour. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckhouse along with Tori Anderson tonight. You can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and now Amazon Music as well. If you miss any part of the show whatsoever, head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and click on the Clips playlist. That's youtube.com/Man Hour Clips. So, Tori, we've broken down the NFC South. We've gone through the East, we've gone through the North, and tomorrow we're going to go West to complete our NFC draft grades here. So, out of those 3 divisions that we have already broke down, the NFC South kind of comes off as being the worst draft division so far. Like is that kind of the overall
I would agree with that so far.
Yeah. So, but just like when you give a D's and F's to two or more teams in a 14 division, that's kind of tough. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but I do play one on TV on Wednesdays, which today is Wednesday. Ha ha. That's over 50% of your things here. So the reason why I bring up math, Tori, is because, like I said, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I'm not dumb either, right? So this morning on my way to work, I get gas. Gas is $2.98, okay? It's a tad high, but whatever. Like, it is what it is. It takes 11 gallons to fill up my car. I put in 10.9 gallons to fill up my car this morning. I spent $33, Tori. Like I said, I'm no mathematician, but how does $2.98 with 10.9 gallons equal $33?
Because their pumps are off and you should report them.
Well,
that's a violation of Ways and Means right there.
Yeah, I mean, just like I'm sitting there scratching my head. So, you know, like I go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, maybe I'm just not quite seeing it right. So like I rub my eyes, splash some water in my face when I get to work, and I'm going to the bathroom. And do you know how many liters are in a gallon, Tori?
How many liters are in a gallon?
Yeah,
4
liters in a gallon, right? So on the urinal, I'm taking a pee, and I noticed that it's like it says 3.8 liters per flush / 1 gallon. You just said there's 4 liters in a gallon. So how do you get 3.8 liters equals 1 gallon? So like, come on, man. Like, is it 3.8 liters or is it 1 gallon? Get it right? Like, see. So now I'm questioning life. Like, now when we go out to eat tonight for supper for Cinco de Mayo, I'm looking at my receipt, and like I am questioning, like, is this calculator right? You know, like, so I'm doing the math like in my head. I'm like, okay, like it is right. Do you ever question anything like that, Tori? Like, or are you a faithful person and just like, you know what, the bill is right, I'm not even going to look at it and just pay it? Like, here.
Usually I just pay it. No, but I've gotten good with numbers the older I get.
Yeah.
Just because I used to.
Wiser?
Right. Well, because I used to work a ton of overtime, obviously, when I would travel and stuff like that. So I could figure it out to usually within about 15 cents of what my check would be, depending on how much overtime I had. So that's why I really like the Japan flights, because by the time we landed, we got checked into the hotel, like, and that day had started. I had been on the clock for 29 hours straight.
Love it. You are cheating the system there, Tori, just a little bit. But it is government work. But so Drew comes out and says that ESPN said that Tom Brady tweeted the only reason why Edelman is retiring is because he too was scared to tell Bill that he wants to come to Tampa. Huh. Is that any think that's true? Do you think they're scared to tell Bill to shove it?
I don't think so. If you're that scared of your coach to like not openly express yourself, there's something wrong with that situation. That's like having the abusive boyfriend that you don't want to anger because, you know, you'll get hit, but and then it's your fault. So, you know, that would be that'd be a toxic relationship type thing.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm scared to tell my coach that I'm leaving, or like I want to go to a different team, I would probably not be playing for that team very much longer. Let's just be flat out honest, because there's a certain level of respect that you have to have as a player-coach relationship, right? Like to give respect type
Right.
of thing. But all right, Tori, we're going to wrap up the show here tonight. Like I said, guys, we're only doing an hour. I got a flight to catch. We'll be back tomorrow, full force, all three of us, all 2 hours, breaking down the NFC West. Who is that? That is the Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks, and I always forget the other team, Cardinals, right? No, Rams.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Rams.
Cardinals, Rams, Niners, and Seahawks. Yeah.
So we'll break down their draft grades. We're going to sprinkle in a little bit of way or no way. We got Guess Who coming back up here on tomorrow's show as well. And Tori, what other game do you want to play? You want to play Liar Liar?
We could do Liar Liar. Am I good? Yeah. Am I on tomorrow?
Yeah, you're on
Jesus,
tomorrow.
That'll put me on the whole week.
Yeah, you are a full timer now. 100%. Welcome aboard.
I need to renegotiate my contract.
Yeah. Free or free? Free.
Right.
Or free. No.
Free or free.
What is that?
How about a pair of short? Oh wait, I already got those.
All right. Send us out, Tori.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.